Professor Veldar walked into the large classroom at Galactic University. His 4 eyes looked around at all the students sitting in their seats. The room was very big with white walls and bright lights. Many different types of alien students were there today. Some had green skin and ate only plants. Others looked like living water in glass suits. Some were made of shiny crystals that made soft music when they moved. The professor was tall and thin with blue skin. He had been teaching about dangerous planets for many years. Today was a special day because they would learn about the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. He pressed a button, and a big screen showed pictures floating in the air above the students. The students saw a blue and green planet spinning slowly. It looked pretty from far away, but Professor Veldar knew better. This planet was so dangerous that most aliens could not even think about going there. The air could kill them. The weather could destroy them. The animals living there were like monsters from scary stories. "Look at this planet," Professor Veldar said in his deep voice. "This is Sol 3. The creatures living there call it Earth. Our computers say it is a level 12 Deathworld. This means it is one of the most dangerous places in the whole galaxy." The students made worried sounds. Some of them moved back in their chairs. The crystal students made high, scary music sounds. They had all heard stories about Deathworld before, but they had never seen one so close. "No civilized being should ever go to this terrible place," the professor continued. "The air itself can burn your lungs. Water falls from the sky like acid. Giant storms move across the surface with winds so fast they can break buildings. The temperature changes so much that it would kill most of us in minutes." A student with green leaves for hair raised her hand. "Professor, what about the animals that live there?" Professor Veldar's eyes got bigger. "Ah, yes, the creatures. They are the worst part. This planet has hunters that can run for days without stopping. They have sharp teeth for cutting meat. Their eyes point forward like all dangerous predators. They work together in groups to catch their food. Very smart and very deadly." The pictures changed to show different scary animals. The students saw big cats with sharp teeth, huge bears with long claws, and wolves with yellow eyes. Many students made fierce sounds. Some of them started to shake. "These monsters fight each other every day," the professor said. "Only the strongest ones live. The planet makes them mean and dangerous. This is why we call it a death world. No peaceful being could survive there for even one day." The room was very quiet. All the students were thinking about how terrible this planet must be. They felt happy that they lived on safe, quiet worlds where nothing dangerous ever happened. But then, from the back of the room, someone raised their hand. It was a strange sight because this student looked different from all the others. This student had only 2 eyes, and they pointed forward just like the predator animals in the pictures. The student had dark hair and skin that was not green or blue or crystal. This student looked exactly like the dangerous creatures the professor had been talking about. "Excuse me, Professor," the student said in a calm voice. Every head in the room turned to look. The crystal students made very high, scared sounds. The plant students tried to move their chairs away. Even Professor Veldar felt his heart beat faster. This was Dr. Miho Kim. He was the first human student ever to come to Galactic University. The school leaders had been very brave to let him come. Most aliens were too scared to be near human. They had heard that humans were the most dangerous creatures from the most dangerous planet. Miho looked normal and calm. He wore simple clothes and had a friendly smile. But all the aliens knew what he really was. He was a predator from a death world. His people had fought and won against all the terrible monsters on their planet. They were the reason that Earth was so dangerous. "Yes, human Miho?" Professor Veldar asked. His voice was shaking a little bit. "I think there might be some things about my planet that are not right in your lesson," Miho said politely. "Can I help explain some things?" The professor did not know what to say. He had studied Earth for many years. He had read all the reports. He knew all the facts. But he had never talked to a real human before. No alien had ever done that and lived to tell about it. "Please," Professor Veldar said slowly, "tell us what you think." Miho stood up from his chair. When he moved, several students made scared sounds and tried to hide behind their desks. But Miho just smiled and looked friendly, which made the aliens even more scared. They knew that the most dangerous predators always looked calm before they attacked. I just think that maybe you do not understand Earth the same way the humans do, Miho said in his quiet voice. The room became so silent that they could hear the crystal students making tiny fear sounds. Everyone waited to see what the human would say next. Miho stood up slowly, and all the alien students watched him with wide eyes. Some of them were shaking. The crystal students made soft, scared sounds like tiny bells ringing. Professor Veldar tried to look brave, but his 4 eyes kept blinking very fast. You said Earth has very bad weather that can kill people, Miho said in a friendly voice. Can you tell me more about that? The professor pointed to the floating picture above them. It showed a huge storm with dark clouds spinning around and around. The wind was moving so fast it looked like a big gray monster. This is called a hurricane, Professor Veldar said. His voice was shaking a little. The wind moves faster than most spaceships. Nothing can live through this. It destroys everything it touches. These storms prove that your planet wants to kill all life. Miho nodded and smiled. When he smiled, the plant students tried to hide behind their desks. They thought he was showing his teeth like a dangerous animal. Oh, yes, hurricanes. Miho said like he was talking about nice weather. We have those every year. My friend Jaiwu actually drives her car right into them. Every alien in the room made a scared sound at the same time. It sounded like a whole orchestra of fear. A student made of living water started bubbling very fast in his glass suit. She drives into the deadly storm? Professor Veldar asked. He could not believe what he was hearing. Yes, she studies them, Miho explained. She has special equipment in her car. She wants to understand how hurricanes work. She says it is very exciting. Last month, she drove through 3 big storms in 1 week. A green plant student raised her leafy hand. She was shaking so much that her leaves were falling off. But surely she must be the bravest warrior of your people to do such a dangerous thing. Miho looked confused. Jaiwu? No, she just likes weather. She teaches at a school for children. Very nice lady. Makes great cookies. The aliens could not understand this. How could someone who did such dangerous things be a normal person? How could someone who flew into deadly storms teach little ones and make food? The professor pressed another button, and the picture changed. Now it showed water falling from dark clouds. To the aliens, this looked like acid rain that would burn through their skin. Your planet drops poison from the sky, Professor Veldar said. Our machines tell us this water is dangerous. It has chemicals that would hurt most living things. Miho looked at the picture and laughed a little. The sound of his laugh made several students jump in their seats. That is just rain, he said. We need it to live. It gives water to our plants, so we can grow food. Children like to play in it. My little sister Yunji loves to run outside when it rains. She tries to catch the drops in her mouth. A crystal student made a very high scared sound. Your young ones play in the poison water? It is not poison to us, Miho said. We drink it. We wash with it. We swim in it for fun. My brother Juno has a job where he works outside in the rain every day. He says it keeps him cool when the weather is hot. The aliens were getting more and more scared. This human was telling them that his people did things that would kill any normal life form. They drank poison water. They played in deadly storms. They thought dangerous things were fun. A student who looked like she was made of blue gas spoke up. Her voice sounded like wind through trees. But what about the air on your planet? Our tests showed us oxygen. Oxygen burns. It destroys everything it touches. How do any creatures live in such a dangerous atmosphere? Miho took a deep breath and smiled again. We breathe oxygen. We need it to live. Without it, we die in just a few minutes. The blue gas student immediately moved as far away from Miho as she could get. You breathe the burning gas? Every second of every day, Miho said. Right now I am breathing it. All humans do. The air you think is poison is what keeps us alive. Professor Veldar sat down in his chair very quickly. His legs felt weak. Everything he had learned about Earth was true, but the human was saying these deadly things were normal. How could creatures live in such a terrible place and think it was fine? Dr. Kim, the professor said very quietly, are you telling us that humans live normally in conditions that would kill most civilized species in minutes? Well, Miho said, thinking about it, I guess so, but it does not feel dangerous to us. It just feels like home. The word home made all the aliens feel very strange. How could anyone call such a terrible place home? What kind of creatures were humans if they could live in a place that was like a nightmare to everyone else? The room was so quiet they could hear the lights buzzing. Everyone was trying to understand what the human had just told them. A brave student made of bright crystals slowly raised her hand. Her whole body was shaking and making soft ringing sounds like scared wind chimes. All the other students looked at her like she was crazy for asking a question. Dr. Kim, she said in a voice so quiet everyone had to listen very hard. Our books tell us that Earth has many apex predators. These are the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. How do humans hide from them? Miho looked confused by the question. He tilted his head like he did not understand why she would ask such a thing. The movement made several students gasp because it looked exactly like how dangerous animals moved before they attacked. Hide from them? Miho asked. We don't hide from them. Professor Veldar leaned forward in his chair. Then how do you survive? Do you run away very fast when you see them? Miho was quiet for a moment. He seemed to be thinking about how to explain something very simple. When he spoke again, his voice was still friendly and calm. We don't run away because we are apex predators too. The words hit the classroom like a bomb going off. Every single student made scared sounds at the same time. The crystal students rang like broken bells. The plant students rustled all their leaves in terror. The water students bubbled so fast their glass suits started to shake. 3 students fainted and fell out of their chairs. Others tried to crawl under their desks to hide. One plant student started dropping all her leaves on the floor from pure fear. You are predators? Professor, Veldar whispered. His voice was so quiet that Miho had to lean forward to hear him. Yes, Miho said like he was talking about the weather. Humans are persistent hunters. That means we can chase other animals for a very long time until they get too tired to run. We are very good at it. A student made of living water was shaking so much in his glass suit that water was splashing everywhere. You hunt other creatures? Well, yes. That is how we got food for thousands of years. Miho explained. We can run for many hours without stopping. We can track animals across long distances. Our eyes point forward so we can see exactly where our prey is going. As he said this, Miho looked directly at the students with his forward-pointing eyes. Several more students tried to hide behind their desks. We work together in groups to catch big animals, he continued. We use tools and weapons. We are very smart hunters. We can plan and think ahead to trap our prey. Professor Veldar felt like the room was spinning around him. But Dr. Kim, if humans are predators, what do you eat? We eat meat, Miho said simply. We kill other animals and eat their bodies. But we also eat plants. We can eat almost anything. This helped us survive when food was hard to find. A green plant student made a sound like screaming leaves. You eat both meat and plants? Yes, we call it being omnivorous. It means we can eat whatever we can find. Very useful for survival. Miho smiled again, showing his teeth. The aliens now understood that those white things in his mouth were not for smiling. They were for cutting meat. The crystal student who had asked the first question was now glowing with fear. What happened to the other apex predators on your planet? Did you make peace with them? Miho thought about this question for a moment. Some of them we fought and won against. Some we learned to live with, and some we made into our friends. Friends, Professor Veldar asked. He could not believe what he was hearing. Oh, yes. My friend Sunho has 3 wolves living in his house. We call them dogs now. They help us hunt, and they protect our homes. They love humans very much. The entire class was now in complete panic. The human was telling them that his people had taken the most dangerous predators on their planet and made them into pets. My sister Hyojin works at a place called a zoo, Miho continued. We keep the really dangerous animals there so people can look at them and learn about them. We have giant cats with long teeth, huge bears with sharp claws, and snakes that can kill you with poison. Families bring their children to see them for fun. A plant student who had not fainted yet raised a shaking leaf. You keep the monster animals as entertainment? They are not monsters to us, Miho said. They are just animals. Some are dangerous, yes, but we understand them. We know how to be safe around them. Children love to see them. Professor Veldar stood up very slowly. His legs felt like water. Everything he had taught about apex predators was wrong. Humans were not prey running from dangerous hunters. Humans were the most dangerous hunters. They had not just survived on a planet full of monsters. They had beaten the monsters and made them into pets. Dr. Kim, he said in a voice that was almost crying, "Are you saying that humans are most successful predators on your planet?" Miho nodded. "I guess you could say that. We did pretty well for ourselves." The classroom fell into a silence so complete that they could hear students breathing in fear from 3 rooms away. Professor Veldar was holding on to his desk to keep from falling down. His hands were shaking and his 4 eyes kept blinking very fast. He had been teaching about dangerous worlds for 20 years, but nothing had prepared him for what he was learning today. "Dr. Kim," he said in a voice that sounded very tired, "surely your people must want to leave Earth. Surely you are looking for safer planets to live on." Miho looked surprised by this question. He made a face like the professor had said something very strange. "Leave Earth? Why would we want to do that?" Miho asked. "Earth is our home." "But it is so dangerous," a crystal student said. She was still shaking and making scared ringing sounds. "Would you not be happier on a peaceful planet with no storms and no predators?" Miho thought about this for a moment. Then he shook his head. "That sounds very boring to us." The word boring made all the aliens feel confused. How could safety be boring? Safety was the most important thing in the universe. Every civilized species wanted to live somewhere safe and peaceful. "My cousin Deho works for a company that finds new planets for humans to live on," Miho continued. "But they do not look for safe planets. They look for challenging ones." "Challenging," Professor Veldar whispered. "Yes, planets with extreme cold or extreme heat. Planets with dangerous weather. Planets with gravity that is much stronger than Earth. Planets with hostile wildlife." Miho's eyes lit up when he talked about these things. "Deho says the best planets are the ones that test human limits." A plant student who was still conscious raised her leaf hand. "You mean humans choose to go to dangerous places?" "Of course," Miho said like this was obvious. "Safe places do not help us grow stronger. My girlfriend Yona leads climbing expeditions on a planet where gravity is twice as strong as Earth. She says it makes her feel more alive. The aliens could not understand this at all. Why would anyone want to feel more alive by putting themselves in danger? Why would anyone choose a hard life when they could have an easy one? "What do humans do for fun?" asked a water student. His glass suit was still shaking from fear, but he was curious. "Many things," Miho said happily. "We jump out of flying machines with only a piece of cloth to slow us down. We dive deep into oceans where giant monsters live. We climb the highest mountains just to see the view from the top. My brother Taehyun races vehicles at very high speeds. Sometimes he crashes, but he says that makes it more exciting." Several students made choking sounds. The idea of crashing on purpose seemed like madness to them. "We have places called theme parks," Miho continued. "They have machines that spin you around very fast or drop you from high places. People pay money to ride these machines because it scares them in a fun way." A crystal student was glowing so bright with fear that she was hurting other students' eyes. "You pay money to be scared?" "Yes. Fear can be fun if you know you are safe," Miho explained. "We also watch movies about monsters and ghosts to scare ourselves. We tell scary stories to our children at night." Professor Veldar sat down hard in his chair. "You tell scary stories to your young ones?" "They love it," Miho said. "Human children play games where they chase each other and try to catch each other. They play hide and seek, which teaches them how to hunt and avoid being caught. They wrestle with each other and play fight. They think it is very fun." The professor realized that humans were training their children to be better predators from a very young age. They made it into games, so the children would enjoy learning how to hunt and fight. We have sports where people hit each other or try to knock each other down, Miho added. Millions of people watch these sports and cheer. We also have sports where people try to hurt each other with their hands while wearing special gloves. A plant student who had been very quiet finally spoke up. Dr. Kim, do humans ever do anything that is safe and peaceful? Miho thought about this question for a long time. We read books, he finally said. But many of our books are about wars and monsters and people fighting. We also listen to music, but some of our music is very loud and sounds like screaming. The aliens were starting to understand something terrible. Humans did not just live on a dangerous planet. They liked danger. They looked for danger. They created danger when there was not enough of it around them. My friend Jun goes swimming in ice-cold water in the winter, Miho said. She cuts holes in frozen lakes and jumps in. She says it makes her feel good. That would kill most of us in seconds, Professor Veldar said weakly. I know, Miho said. That is why she likes it. She says easy things are not worth doing. The room was completely silent. Every alien was thinking the same thing. They had been wrong about humans. Humans were not victims of their terrible planet. They were products of it. Earth had made them into something that loved danger and sought out challenges. They were not refugees from a death world. They were death world natives who thought safety was boring. Professor Veldar looked around his classroom and saw the faces of his students. Some were still hiding under their desks. Others were shaking so hard they could barely sit in their chairs. The crystal students were making scared sounds that filled the room like broken music. 3 students had fainted and were lying on the floor. The professor had been teaching about dangerous worlds for 20 years. He had written books about them. He had given speeches to other professors. He thought he knew everything about death worlds. But now he felt like everything he had learned was wrong. He looked at Miho, who was still standing calmly in the back of the room. The human looked so normal and friendly, but the professor now knew that this friendly appearance was hiding something much more dangerous than any monster he had ever studied. Dr. Kim, Professor Veldar said in a voice that was almost crying, I must ask you one last question. Miho nodded and smiled. When he smiled, the remaining conscious students tried to move even further away from him. If Earth is such a terrible and dangerous place, the professor continued, why have humans not run away from it? Why have you not fled to safer worlds and left that nightmare planet behind? Miho looked confused again. He tilted his head like he did not understand the question at all. Run away, he asked. Why would we run away from home? The simple words hit every alien in the room like a physical blow. The water students bubbled frantically in their glass suits. The plant students dropped more leaves on the floor. Even the unconscious students seemed to stir at the sound of those words. Home. Professor Veldar whispered. Yes, Earth is our home. Miho said like he was explaining something very obvious to a small child. It is where we come from. It is where we belong. Why would we want to leave? The professor felt his world turning upside down. But it is so dangerous. It tries to kill you every day. Miho shook his head. Professor, I think you do not understand something very important. You have been measuring how dangerous Earth is by using your own people as the measure. But we are not your people. We are different. He gestured toward the floating pictures of Earth that were still showing above the classroom. The storms and predators and poisonous air that look so terrible to the aliens. Those storms you fear? They bring water for our plants and food. Those predators you call monsters? We learned from them. We competed with them. We became better than them. The air you think is poison? It is what we need to breathe to stay alive. A crystal student who had been very quiet suddenly spoke up. But surely you must want to find peaceful places to live now that you can travel to the stars. Miho looked at her with surprise. Why would we want peaceful places? Peaceful places do not teach us anything new. They do not make us stronger or smarter or better. Professor Veldar felt like his brain was breaking. Are you saying that humans like dangerous places? We do not expand into space because we want to run away from Earth. Miho explained patiently. We expand into space because we are curious. We want to see what other interesting challenges the universe has for us. The professor stood up so fast that his chair fell over behind him. Other challenges? Of course, Miho said. The universe is huge and full of amazing things. There might be planets with even stronger gravity than we have found so far. There might be weather that is even more exciting than our hurricanes. There might be creatures that are even more dangerous than the ones on Earth. A plant student made a sound like screaming leaves. You want to find more dangerous things? Why not? Miho asked. Dangerous things are interesting. They teach us new things about ourselves. They help us grow and become better. Professor Veldar suddenly understood something that made his 4 eyes open very wide. Dr. Kim, are you telling me that humans do not think of Earth as a death world at all? No, we just think of it as home, Miho said. You call it a death world because it would kill your people, but it does not kill us. To us, it is just a place where we learn to be human. The professor sat down again, very slowly this time. And you seek out other dangerous worlds because safe worlds are boring, Miho finished. A world where nothing challenges us, where nothing tests us, where nothing makes us work hard to survive. That is not paradise to us. That is just boring. The room fell into complete silence. Every alien was thinking about what the human had just told them. They had been wrong about everything. Humans were not victims of their terrible planet. They were not refugees looking for safety. Humans were death world natives who thought danger was fun. They were apex predators who had conquered the most dangerous planet in the galaxy and then decided to look for more dangerous places to explore. Professor Veldar looked at his teaching notes and then slowly closed the book. Class is finished for today, he said in a weak voice. I need to rewrite everything I know about death worlds. As the students filed out of the room, still shaking and making scared sounds, Miho packed up his things and wondered why everyone seemed so surprised. He had just been telling them simple facts about his home planet. Outside the classroom, Professor Veldar sent an urgent message to the Galactic Council. We need to completely change how we think about humans. They are not running away from danger. They are looking for more of it.